We played through the 10 lowest rated WWE games according to Metacritic to find the best thing about each of them. We will also include the overall score that each one got, as starting from the highest to the lowest. We're also sticking with consoles only, so no phone games. This video is sponsored by Infinite Borders, the first ever terrain-based, season-driven strategy game set in ancient China's Three Kingdoms era. In Infinite Borders, you'll rewrite history as you lead legendary heroes into battle, conquer lands, and outsmart your enemies. With over 300 unique combinations of heroes, skills, and armies, every battle is a test of your strategic expertise. You won't be alone in Infinite Borders either, as you can team up with up to 200 players and face off against 2,000 others on the same regional server. The game's distinctive art style, deeply rooted in Chinese cultural influences, offers a fresh and immersive take on the classic Three Kingdoms period. Explore an expansive world featuring over 2.5 million grid tiles, from towering mountain ranges to serene rivers, all contributing to an unparalleled strategic experience. The game's continuous evolution, now spanning nearly 20 seasons, introduces new storylines, gameplay rules, and world conditions with each update. On August 16th, the new Conquest season, Decisive Battle of Yilin, officially began, and it features brand new highland terrain and the fire attack tactic, which could turn the tide of war. Seize the high ground and don't forget to burn the wooden palisade camp and compete for the championship. The fate of the world is in your hands. Download Infinite Borders today by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment and get ready to command your destiny. Before we get to the first lowest rated WWE game, make sure you have subscribed with all notifications turned on, and don't forget to also like the video if you do end up enjoying it. Now, let's get into the first game in this list. First up, we have an average review score of 68. Is Raw from the original Xbox, which might come as a surprise for those WWE game fans who played this back in the day. You'd have thought it would have gotten a lower score with the lack of matches, having only one arena, being incredibly outdated, and the gameplay being beyond unpolished. But yeah, even with all that, Raw managed to secure a 68 out of 100 score average. For all its negatives, Raw did have one big positive that set it apart from pretty much any other WWE game ever released. It's the only WWE game that has over 100 weapons, the only WWE game that allows you to beat your opponent up so much during their entrances that their entrance gear falls off, which you can then wear. The item system was way ahead of its time, and a truly unique WWE games feature that has never been done since, and it'll likely never be done again. Sticking with the same game series, Raw 2 is up next, also with a 68 out of 100 average score. Now, if Raw 1 is getting 68 out of 100, then Raw 2 easily should be higher than that. But we don't make the scores up in this one. The best thing you'll find in Raw 2 is easily the details within, many details which are yet to be found in the WWE 2K series. For example, you could go out of the ring in the Royal Rumble matches and just enter back in whenever you felt like it. You could even bring weapons into the Royal Rumble match if you felt like it. It's one of the two games that has a replay system where the action continues on a second screen. There's just all kinds of fun and cool details that can be found within this game, and it's a shame that many of them are yet to be found in more of the recent WWE 2K games. Next up, we'll have to go all the way back to WWE 2K18 that had an average review score of 66 out of 100. Looking back on that score, it felt pretty harsh, as 2K18 was a perfectly fine game, which felt like the building blocks towards the much better 2K19. But worse than 2K17? Not sure about that one. Anyways, the best features of WWE 2K18 has to be it introduced 8-man matches for the first time in the WWE 2K series. It had been seen way back in the SmackDown series days with Just Bring It, but never in the WWE 2K series. It was great to have this limitation moved from 6 to 8 after so many years of waiting and wondering if it will ever happen. What made it even better than Just Bring It in its 8-man match was that it wasn't just limited to an 8-man battle royal match. You could have 8-man tag team matches and even 8-man Money in the Bank ladder matches. Maybe one day we'll see the limit pushed up to 10 wrestlers on screen at once. Speaking of a game that pushed the limits on how many people could be on screen at once, next up is Royal Rumble for the Dreamcast, which managed to get the same score as WWE 2K18. Royal Rumble is well known for being the only WWE game ever to allow 9 people in the ring at once. A great thing itself, but we're not going for another player on screen based pick. We're changing it up with this one. For Royal Rumble, the best thing for us is the amount of backstage areas that could be accessed throughout the game. Now, this isn't like your typical WWE game where you could run to the backstage and it's all connected. No, you couldn't even leave the ring in this game. What would happen in Royal Rumble is all of a sudden the lights would start to flash and then you'll be transported to a random backstage area. and all areas are covered from the gorilla position to the parking lot to the boiler room to even the kitchen. The fun of the Royal Rumble on the Dreamcast was wondering where you would be sent next, as it would have a complete mystery of where it would be. Though we have to wonder, how did we actually get to these places? That's the big mystery. The GameCube series of WWE games had a pretty solid run. WrestleMania 19, Day of Reckoning 1 and 2, all great games that are worth your time. The same can't be said for WrestleMania 18. It's not a bad WWE game, it's like Raw on the Xbox, but better. It's just lacking all around, and the gameplay just wasn't quite there yet. WrestleMania 19 onwards, however, was where things got really good. So WrestleMania 18 landed itself a 64 out of 100 score to earn its place on the list. And although there isn't a traditional career or story mode within the game, there is a mode that deserves a mention, that being the Battle of the Belts mode. In this mode, you take a wrestler of your choice through a series of matches until you finally win the belt of your choice. Belts are categorized by difficulty, with some being easy and some literally being painful, and that's the name of the difficulty setting. What's interesting about this mode is that it's the first WWE game to really use the WCW and ECW licenses to their use, and it doesn't just include WWE titles. There's a bunch of WCW and ECW titles too. There's also NWA and IWGP titles that make an appearance here, though we question how those managed to sneak in. We're guessing it was just a different time and no one really cared back then. As we move back to the WWE 2K series with WWE 2K15, it's unsurprising to find out that this game got a 62 out of 100 review score average. The debut of WWE 2K on the PS4 and Xbox One was not a very good one, and with many players rightfully being disappointed with the amount of removals from 2K14, as well as having lackluster career mode. The best thing within WWE 2K15 is an easy one to pick, however. It has to be the incredible showcase modes that can be found within the game. From a showcase about Triple H and Shawn Michaels' rivalry from 2002 to 2004, to a showcase about CM Punk and John Cena's rivalry from 2011 to 2013. These showcases were perfectly done with incredible detail put into each of them. Even the DLC showcases that we got from WWE 2K15 were awesome, and it's a shame we don't see more like them anymore. You had Christian and Randy Orton's 2011 feud recap, Mark Henry's Hall of Pain run, and even a mini Ultimate Warrior showcase. WWE 2K15 might be a weak entry for the WWE 2K series, but it wasn't a weak entry for showcase mode. We're going to be honest here in saying that we're shocked that WWE 2K Battlegrounds isn't further down this list, as it comes in at 60 out of 100 review score average. This game was within the dark times period of WWE 2K series, where we got WWE 2K20 and this right after. We're definitely glad that we are long past those times now. So Battlegrounds felt like an attempt to do a WWE All-Stars game, which many WWE games fans loved, but it was just executed poorly. The gameplay just didn't hit right, and all the characters pretty much felt the same to play, and there was nothing really unique about them. The only unique thing about characters in this game is the best thing about Battlegrounds, and is the amount of attires that you can get in the game. Every character in the game had anywhere from 2 to 3 to even 4 attires in this game. Battlegrounds didn't do much good at all, but the amount of attires offered is certainly a win for Battlegrounds' favor. Next up, we're moving back to the days of console exclusives for WWE games with WrestleMania 21 on the original Xbox. Yes, that means every single console exclusive WWE game on the original Xbox has appeared in this list, with WrestleMania 21 being the worst of the bunch by far, with a 56 out of 100 average review score. Now, many of the current day WWE game players will know about the disaster of WWE 2K20, but not as many might know about WrestleMania 21 on the Xbox, because this was the WWE 2K20 of its time. It was a bug-ridden mess full of glitches and broken AI that made the game pretty much near unplayable. The game was so broken that the online mode didn't even work in the game at launch. Players had to wait a few weeks to get the patch which fixed the online mode, along with fixing some of the bugs and glitches within the game. So that's a short summary of how bad WrestleMania 21 was, but what was the best thing about the game? It has to be the story mode. Within the game, it's actually a really good story mode where you rise from rookie to main eventer with some really fun storylines and rivalries within. It's not your road to WrestleMania level of career modes, but it's definitely worth your time. We've previously said that WWE 2K20 doesn't have anything good about it, but as time has passed, we can begin to appreciate some of the things that WWE 2K20 got right. Is it still not a very good game? Well, the score is 43 out of 100, so that says everything right there, doesn't it? The best thing within WWE 2K20 for us has to be the unlockables within and just the amount of content that the game has. For how bad WWE 2K20 was, it's probably one of the most content-rich WWE games ever released. You've got the longest My Rise or My Career mode by far. Showcase mode, originals, towers, unlockables to get within originals. This game, if you played it much, likely did keep you busy in all fairness. Could it get any worse than WWE 2K20? Well, it can actually, because WWE 2K managed to release this stinker 2 years prior. WWE 2K18 on the Switch. Not only one of the worst WWE games ever released, but one of the worst games ever released on the Switch. This was a complete garbage port of 2K18 to the Switch. It rightfully earned its 35 out of 100 average. Well, to be honest, it could have easily been much lower. Why, you might be asking? Well, the game literally runs in slow motion because the port was so badly optimized for the Switch, making it completely unplayable and a pretty useless release for Switch players. Saying anything good about this game is hard, so we're just gonna say it was nice to see a Nintendo WWE 2K game happen after a long wait, and playing it on the go was a nice idea, I guess, eh?